War Eagle, and welcome to another edition of Ever to Podcast. This is the show here at E2C Network where our goal is to catch you up on the latest Auburn news, topics, discussions, rumors, scuttlebutt, things that you need to be aware of when you're trying to be out and about, discussing and sharing the Auburn experience yourself. All about Auburn sports, Auburn culture, Auburn family. The easy way to say it, though, is if it's orange and blue, it is what we do. So thank you so much for joining us in what we're going to be doing on this episode of Ever to Podcast, episode 106. Today's date is July 31st, 2026. Happy end of July to everybody. And as always, I'm your host, Kyle Loomis. The agenda, as it's been for the last couple weeks during summer, just a few news items, some larger ones, actually, to be honest with you, that I wasn't necessarily anticipating to have this week. It just goes to show you that summer can be filled with all kinds of things. But this may be the last one that we have before we start getting a little bit more information with football practice about to start and some of the fall sports starting to get their fall, at least exhibition schedule going. So get ready, folks, here. We got some good stuff to talk about here, but more to come in the future. Let's go ahead and get you started here. We'll start with each of the different major programs and general athletics topics, things in the pros, things like that. We'll start off very first with an opportunity for you as Auburn fans to get involved in voting. I think the USA Today has done this pretty much every year, or at least publications do these type of things in the sports off seasons to, everybody does it as a content creator. Let me be clear on that. When the sports is not as popping as it typically is, especially the college sports. But USA Today has been putting out a bunch of things that you can vote for, and Auburn is in the running for them. So it's the USA Today Reader's Choice Awards. The different social media accounts for Auburn have been sharing all the links to go to. If you look at aub.ie/voteaufb, they've got a lot of ways that you can vote for a lot of things related to Auburn. And the goal of this is obviously so we can represent Auburn. So I'm encouraging you to go out and vote and take care of that for not only Auburn football and some traditions and things like that, but for Aubie as well. So some things that Auburn's kind of in the running for right now. Best stadium, obviously Jordan-Hare Stadium. Best sports fans, Auburn, Alabama. I guess you just go by region. Best sports tradition, Rolling Tumors Corner. And then the best walkout tradition, because they had to specify those, Tiger Walk / Eagle Flight. It's interesting that they combine the two of those, but surely with two of those together, you can win the whole thing. You can go vote for those things right now. You can also go vote for Aubie too, and I would highly encourage you to go and do that if you haven't done so already. Aubie is in the lead as the #1 mascot in the world. We all know that to be true. But USA Today Reader's Choice Awards, voting for a lot of the traditions and things around college sports right now. Auburn's in the running for a lot of that. Go and visit that site we mentioned, or you can find it on a lot of the social medias for the different Auburn athletics accounts that are represented there. Another thing for you as fans to get involved with this week, they announced the debut on War Eagle Plus of Traditions, Tumors Corner. And that's a documentary about, obviously, all the different ways that people have told the tale about how the different iterations of how we got to Tumors Corner, how we started rolling all that stuff. Great moments. Sad moments as well in that. Obviously, you think back to the final roll, the last roll, as it was called, with the original trees. I'm sure they'll tell the tale with that. So go check that out on War Eagle Plus. It's a good thing for you to do if you're already part of War Eagle Plus, but maybe an incentive for you to sign up. We got some Auburn in the pros news. This was big news this week for Johni Broome. He's been with the Philadelphia 76ers for the last season and was having a pretty good summer. Well, I guess good enough because they saw value in him for a trade and sent him to the LA Lakers as part of a situation that's going around all in the NBA. If you follow that kind of stuff with big names moving around, opening up slots everywhere. Johni Broome decides, or I guess they decided, to trade him to the LA Clippers. And so now you've got two Auburn guys of major importance, two big men in Auburn history that are both in the LA region. On a previous episode, we talked about Walker Kessler going to the Lakers. Johni Broome now would be the LA Clippers. And he got traded for a second-round pick, cash considerations, and maybe a little bit of something else too. But he's out there now, so go support him if you choose to do so in the NBA if you're watching, or maybe go and see games out there. Got some Auburn fans out in Cali. Jackson Coyvin's been having a week, y'all, in a lot of different ways. On the main podcast, we chronicled the first major win for him, or the first PGA Tour win for him, and he's just been the talk of the town this week. Just some facts that were shared about his event that he won and was involved in. Jackson Coivin's win was the most watched 3M Open, which was the name of the event. He was on record. 3.7 million viewers, up 100% from last year. Folks, I know I'm speaking to a mainly Auburn audience right now, but to be honest with you, this is yet another like stamp of approval that if you attach Auburn to something, even beyond it actually being a college sport for Auburn, our guys in the pros, we will show up. So that's a great thing to see that such interest. And certainly it's about Jackson, right, and his interest as a phenom. But certainly we know that the Auburn people had a huge part in that. And that's a really good thing to see. He made several appearances this week, too, on a lot of different shows. The Rich Eisen Show, Pat McAfee Show. So he certainly was making his rounds. So go check out some of those clips that have been shared from them if you want to hear from Jackson about the week that he has had, and it's been a big one. This is more of just some fun news in the pros, but I think it's also a reason to give a pat on the back to Derek Brown. He is the highest-rated defensive tackle in the Madden 27 game. So, yeah, highest-rated defensive tackle. This shouldn't shock you. He is one of the best, if not one of the top, the top defensive tackle in the game right now, and all the things that he does on and off the field. So good to see him getting some recognition, at least in video game format. We talked about voting earlier for all the traditions for Aubie. Let me remind you one more thing that you need to go vote on that USA Today thing, and that is for the Auburn band. And they're in a battle they're in the top 10, but trying to get up even higher. At least last time I checked. You can vote every day on these things. Keep that in mind. Go vote for the Auburn band as well. Now, this week, Auburn baseball decided to announce their transfer portal class. So I take it that means that it's basically done. If they're putting out a big graphic and things like that, it doesn't mean that there won't be additions later on down the road. But they have at least put out the bulk of their transfer portal class. And here are their names. Corey Kling, a senior right-handed pitcher. Josh Sibley, left-handed pitcher in his 5th year. Braden Bergman, right-handed pitcher, junior. John Beverly, outfield. He's a junior. Cooper Sheff, infield, senior. Jack Pizzolo. I think I got that right. Left-handed pitcher, sophomore. Zach Stevens, right-handed senior. Pitching senior. Dane Burns, left-handed pitcher, junior. And then Ben Swales, infielder, 5th year for him. So that is your transfer portal class for the Auburn baseball program as it currently and maybe officially stands right now.
Tomorrow morning is knocking. Stock your fridge now. How about a creamy mocha frappuccino drink? Or a sweet vanilla? Smooth caramel maybe? Or a white chocolate mocha? Whichever you choose, delicious coffee awaits. Find Starbucks Frappuccino drinks wherever you buy your groceries.
Some big news this week for Auburn basketball, and I told you guys this was coming on a variety of our content. The slow march to the full reveal of Auburn basketball, especially here for us, what we're talking about now, men's basketball season. We had their SEC opponents and where they were going to be announced a couple weeks ago, maybe about a month ago, I think. Now we finally have the kind of dates. I want to stress that because if you go and look at the graphics put out in the announcement from the SEC, they have announced all the Saturday dates for those and your bye week and all that stuff. But they have only decided to give you the 2-day option for the midweek game. Remember, you'll play either on a Tuesday or a Wednesday. And for a lot of these, it is this or that. So let me just kind of walk through what the schedule looks like very quickly. We will go into more detail about that later. We'll do away at Texas A&M, home for Tennessee, home for Georgia. Away for Texas, home for Ole Miss. Away for Vanderbilt and LSU. Home for Mississippi State. Away for Alabama will be Oklahoma and Florida at home. And I'm really disappointed that Florida is a midweek game. South Carolina and Arkansas on the road. Missouri and LSU at home. Tigers back-to-back. On the road, Kentucky and Ole Miss. And then finishing out with the big one, Auburn, Alabama, the Iron Bowl, as I call it, in Neville Arena. So that is your SEC schedule for Auburn men's basketball. We'll discuss it in more detail on the Auburn Experience. More schedule news for you, Auburn women's tennis, and this is another thing for you to help fill out your calendar of events if you're not in the Auburn area, if you want to go see some Auburn action, or maybe some of the things that are occurring sometimes on their schedule in Auburn or at least nearby. So for the fall schedule for women's tennis, they're going to be part of the ITA All-American Championships in North Carolina on September 19th to 27th, October 8th to the 12th, the ITA Southern Regionals in Baton Rouge, October 23rd through the 25th, the RTC Collegiate Invite in Rome, Georgia, so ITA South Sectional Championships in Knoxville, November 5th through the 8th, and the November 17th to the 22nd, NCAA Singles and Doubles Championships in Athens, Georgia. So you can see them in North Carolina, Louisiana, Georgia, and Tennessee. Nothing in Auburn for the fall specifically as it's released right here. And keep in mind, this is part of the season, but it's the thing that everybody pay attention to is in the spring with the conference play and things like that, where they're hosting individual teams for matches and not going to these big events like the ITA regionals and things like that. But put that on your calendar, especially if you're in those areas, for ways that you can go support a almost national title championship team in Auburn women's tennis. Track and field looks like they are just about done rounding out their roster, maybe, but their coaching staff, and they've got a few more that they announced this week. We even speculated this on the Auburn Experience that they needed a throws coach, and here he is, Corey Martin, former Auburn Tiger. Assistant coach will be coaching the throwing events for the Auburn discus, hammer throw, all that kind of stuff. Welcome to Corey Martin. And then Trent Edgerton will be added as an assistant sprints coach. Well, this makes sense with your former sprints coach, now the head coach. You're going to have a little bit of assistance there, even if that is still his concentration. So you've now pretty much got everything. They've hired a sprints coach, a distance staff. They've got a couple coaches there. Throws, jumps, and multis. In my guesstimation, this staff is pretty much filled, but I could be wrong. I think it's pretty much ready to go at this point. Some news that's not been officially announced by Auburn in any way that I can find, but through other reports and sources, it's I guess maybe you would say it's not that important for Auburn football right now, but it's quite interesting. Missouri State was scheduled to be on the 2027 schedule next year, but they have been now moved to September 2nd, specifically 2034. So I want y'all to think about this. Not only did they get bumped, from this not this season, but the next one, but they got bumped to 2034. That is a ways away. At the time, I felt like it felt almost like a decade away. It's really not, obviously, if you do the math, but that is quite the bump from Missouri State. This is part of all of the readjusting of schedules with the SEC going to 9 games. So while that has not been officially announced by Auburn anywhere that I can see, it looks like, based off the reports, there's enough people with sources saying that that's legit. So just some short football news as we are 1 week away. Well, today, actually, this Friday, we are just a few days away from the start of Auburn fall camp. They'll report on the upcoming Tuesday. Last bit here, we got some more promotions happening within Auburn soccer. Amy Reif is now the Director of Strategic Operations and Player Development, so congrats to her for the promotion. And finally, as we prep for fall sports season, there's more lists other than just football coming out. Auburn volleyball has a couple there. Lauren Draves, I think it's Draves is how you say that. She's on the preseason All-SEC team, so congrats to her. But on top of that, the All-SEC polls in general, but the SEC preseason coaches poll has come out. Of the 16 teams, Auburn finds itself, in the coaches' eyes, to potentially finish 7th on the year, which is in the upper half of the SEC upper echelon. So keep that in mind. Texas A&M, Texas, Kentucky, those are the names, and those are some of the ones that are expected to be very, very good this year. Florida, Tennessee, Georgia, all ahead of Auburn, sitting there at number 7. So definitely check out your Auburn volleyball team this year. Folks, that's going to do it for this episode of the Everett Podcast and episode 106. We will hopefully next week be just full of all kinds of stuff from fall practice. I know that all of y'all are itching for that. We made it through the bulk of the summer months, even though the athletic calendar year hasn't officially started just yet. It is literally weeks away. So get ready, folks. Get excited. And thank you for sticking with us this season, this summer season, for Ever to Podcast. With that in mind, we're going to remind you a couple things. Make sure you are, if you're not subscribed, please do. If you're finding us for the first time, if you can leave a review of this particular show or any of the ones that we have, that is very helpful. If you would like to reach out to us, e2cnetwork@gmail.com is a great way to do that, or direct messages on social media. And all that to be said, as we exit, I'm going to remind you of a couple of different things. The Auburn Creed asks you to do justly, love mercy, and walk humbly with God. We're going to ask you to do the same thing. War Eagle.